Growing up, Mom and I bought supplies for home improvement projects from a variety of stores. After unpleasant experiences at those stores, I asked Mom if we could go to Home Depot. We did go, but not frequently. So the few trips we made to Home Depot felt like Christmas to me. The store had everything and anything I needed to create. So when I bought my house in 2013, I made frequent trips to Home Depot for all my supplies. One day, as Mom helped me paint the room that would become my Lego room, I clearly remember thinking, how cool would it be if Home Depot paid us to paint my room? Then the thought disappeared. I didn't share it with anyone. It seemed silly and implausible to think that Home Depot would pay me to paint my house. How would that even happen? Fast forward 2.5 years. I convinced Mom to help me rescreen my back porch. I did some research, saw some poorly made YouTube videos on the subject, and thought it was something we could tackle together. We made our trip to Home Depot and found the screen, spline, and spline tool that we needed. We didn't run into many complications. When we were about to finish, Mom said, "You should make a video about this." I laughed and sarcastically said, "Yeah, right." Then Mom continued, "You complained about not seeing any good YouTube videos on the subject, so you need to make one." I didn't say much, but I continued to think about it. The next day, as we continued the project, Mom started taking video with my iPhone as I worked. We continued talking about making a video, and she even said we could call it Mother-Daughter Projects. At the time, my sister-in-law was pregnant with my niece, who was due in just 2 months. Ultimately, we decided that the do-it-yourself DIY video could be a cool thing to show her and my nephews one day, a project their Oma and Steffi had worked on together. So we took more footage and recorded an intro and what we learned section. And Mother-Daughter Projects, MDP, was born on March 28, 2015. MDP organically grew while I was working full-time at Killarn. Over the next 7 months, we slowly progressed with more videos, a website, and social media accounts. As we continued and became more dedicated, I started to think MDP might be more than a hobby. After working for Killarn for 2.5 years, I was ready to move on. I had met with the head pastor and told him I would be leaving in 2 months. I wanted to give him time to find a replacement. During those 2 months, I looked into other jobs I might be qualified for in Tallahassee. But as I prayed and reflected on what was next in my life, Mother-Daughter Projects was always in the back of my head. I kept thinking that maybe that could be my job. But how is that a job, I wondered? I knew some people made a living by blogging and being YouTubers, but I had no idea how to make it happen. It seemed scary, out of my comfort zone, and having to work for myself? No, thank you. But as God continued to put MDP on my heart, I slowly built the confidence to say it out loud. I want to make MDP my full-time job and business. Mom was excited to launch MDP as a business. We honed in on what our focus would be, wrote a business plan, had a logo made, and became a full-fledged LLC. My last day with Killarn was November 1st, 2015, and the next day was my first full day with MDP. 2 years later, and with close to 100 DIY videos produced, Mom and I were painting the outside of my house. It was a yellow color I always wanted to cover, but hadn't gotten around to it. A few months earlier, we had landed a year-long deal with Home Depot for a tool campaign. Home Depot also hired us for a painting campaign, which is how we found ourselves painting the outside of my house in 2 days. As we were painting, an exciting flashback to the moment we were painting my Lego room just 4 years earlier played in my head. I remembered the thought that ran through my head that day. How cool would it be if Home Depot paid us to paint my house? Wow, I never dreamed back then that it would become reality. In high school, I had taken an externship class where I got to work with a video production company a few hours a day. One day, the owner was chatting with me. He said, "What's your hobby?" I said, "Production, of course." "No, that's your job. What's your hobby?" he replied. I didn't have an answer for him. I loved production. Why can't my hobby be my job, I thought. At the time, I didn't sit and explore that question with him. But for years, I looked for a hobby that I loved just as much as production. His words continued to ring in my ears. Creating video can't be your hobby and your job. Now, almost 4 years in, I run my own production company and work with the one and only Vicky, my awesome mom. Combining my teaching and tech knowledge from Apple, my hospitality and friendliness from Disney, In my ownership and list of responsibilities from Killarn, I co-founded Mother-Daughter Projects. Mom and I create DIY videos for homeowners. We focus on home maintenance, improvement, decor, and tech projects. Every day is new, exciting, challenging, and unexpected. I believe it was God's plan all along to make my hobby my job.